So Habitation Station is the map. This is the quarter-final game. And spawning up to the top left-hand position, we've got the blue Protoss player first. And his opponent to the top right. The red Zerg player representing Team Acer, none other than Bly. So Bly was able to take down Hyun in a ZvZ in the previous round, whereas first he had to battle it out with another Zerg, Johnny Rico, in order to get here. That was a 2-1. He started off with a very aggressive cannon rush style play, and due to there being a pylon on the low ground, we could be in store for a similar game 1 in this series. First, is he going to go for that cannon rush again? He did quite an unusual cannon rush against Rico where he put 3 pylons at the top of the ramp just to wall in all those pesky drones that could try and stop it. Bly, on the other hand, he's just chilling, holding down that D key. His biggest decision now stands with whether he wants to go pull hatch or hatch pull. Both are viable openings, so it'll be interesting to see what he goes for. If we take a look here, First has indeed gone for that Forge first opening. A cannon rush massively on the cards. And Bly needs to identify this. He's going for a hatch first. He's got an Overlord in a position ready to scout if there's any sneaky pylons trying to come through, but it's moving out of position. I suspect he'll move back though upon seeing this probe, and indeed it does. Wants to check, wants to make sure nothing bad happens, and we should be about to see the triple pylon block at the top of that ramp. If First is going for exactly the same build we saw in game 1 against Johnny Rico. Little zap of the probe there, little tickle. Tasing some drones. But for the moment, not too much going on. Nexus is coming down behind this, so First may not now be going for the cannons. When he did go for the triple build, he didn't actually go for the 4 pylons. He didn't go for the Nexus, so he had that banked up Minimus. Doesn't have that now, so yeah. Still waiting to see if he does go for any further aggression, but I doubt it now. It's been a long time, and generally you would see a pylon have been started if it wasn't attempted a cannon rush. Instead, First now throwing down his gateway, now throwing down his Nexus. So this was a Forge fast expansion, very, very popular build back at the end of Wings of Liberty. Like, we just saw that every single game, Forge fast expansion to the max. It was pretty much the only safe way to get that expansion down quickly against Zerg, and it worked really, really well. So for the moment, we see First still just getting a lot of information, and that's actually quite important for him. Don't know if he did see that the drones had been pulled out of gas, but can probably suspect that it was only for speed early on. Generally, that's how a lot of Zerg players will go playing it. Meanwhile, Cybercore cannon coming down back at home for First, getting himself into a very secure and safe position. Shouldn't have too much else to worry about, at least early game. His next biggest decision is what he does mid-game. Will he go for a third? We saw in the previous series he's happy to do that. Will he go for a 2-base all-in? Again, we saw in the previous series he's happy to do that as well. Certainly stuff that he can be going for. Anyway, as this all keeps going, waiting to see what else is going, and no, not too much else really being given away yet over on the Protoss side. Bly does have his Roach Warren coming down, but the timing of that isn't abnormal. And he doesn't have a lair coming down either, so unless he's going for a very, very kind of unusual Roach only push, probably not going to be going for anything too greedy. Not without Roach speed, not without a +1. No third yet though for Bly, and that is quite perplexing because third bases will generally be down by the 6-minute mark for Zergs most games. 6 minutes 30, if it's not down then, I'll be really starting to look at it as being quite late and trying to work out why Bly is just being apprehensive about taking it. It has allowed him to get a fair few more units out on the ground and also drone very heavily, but that lack of a third hatch definitely hinders production, so I'm excited to see what we're going to get out of Bly here. Third base coming down, so 6:45, not terribly late, but still a bit unorthodox, a bit more unusual. Meanwhile, First he just starts up his +1 ground weapons, so not rushing anything through. Bly adding in 3 additional gases now and goes for the Spire. Okay, so his plan all getting revealed now, going for a Mutalisk style play. This Spore Crawler may come as a bit of a unexpected, but it actually makes a lot of sense. He hasn't seen too much, but knows there's quite a few sentries. This Spore means that if a hallucinated Phoenix comes straight across and comes through, it may very well die to the Queen and the Spore before it scouts the Spire. And going for this Spire off of essentially 2 bases, since it came down just after the 3rd was taken, is a big risk. Doesn't want to get it scouted, because if it was scouted early, while it was still in construction, First would have ample time in order to throw down 2 Stargates and just start up the Phoenix production to directly counter it. Overlord getting picked off, these sentries being microed really well. We'll get a kill there. So another Overlord dies. That's actually the 2nd one so far this game. But overall, very little losses on either side throughout. Just very cautious play coming down, or actually rather very greedy play coming down from both of them. Trying to work out what we've got planned here from our Protoss. It looks like he's going to be going for a 3rd. 8 minutes 42 is a very standard timing of this 3rd base. No tech really over on First side, other than this, obviously, +1. Double Stargate has got started as the Spire was able to be scouted. These 5 Mutalisks are going to have their work cut out. Bly supply block momentarily as well, will prevent further ones being made. Pump 7 Mutas into production and 8 now coming through as well. But the time to pump out Phoenix is now. Double Chrono Boost coming down from First. He's going for this incredibly quickly. And as it stands, this is going to be in a very interesting position. Forward comes the Mutalisks, and with the first 2 Phoenix already out, now up to, well actually no, only 2 though at the moment, they can't do too much. Artosis Pylon has been discovered, 3 gateways going to be depowered pretty easily. More Mutas also coming across the map. 8 on the field now, 3 more in production. A couple of probes going to be facing death, but in come the Phoenix. Photon overcharge is triggered as well. These Mutalisks have to be very careful. Start pulling back, getting to safety, but great micro from the Protoss player means that the Phoenix, all but 1, stay alive. Another Muta, another 2 Mutas will die, and Bly is taking a lot more damage here. Losing over double the resources of his opponent and continuing to drop in the Muta count. This is some very nice play coming through from First, and he is just destroying this air strategy thanks to the scout early on. Knowing that the Spire was in production, being able to get these double Stargates and double Phoenix production really was critical. It's allowed him to take a dominating role in this first map. And Bly really has got his work cut out. Starting some Corruptor production, going to be looking to zone out quite a few of those Phoenix as best he can. But until their numbers start really racking up higher, the Mutas are pretty much contained and unable to do much in the way of further damage or harassment. Anion Pulse Crystals coming down for the Phoenix, as well as the +1 air weapons. Bly going to be contending against a very strong, heavy Phoenix count, and so his Corruptor count needs to be very high in response to that. Quick little scout out by a hallucinated Phoenix is maybe about to get a spot at some of these Corruptors. Waiting to see if actually any are revealed. Currently there are only 2 on the map, so it looks like no, won't get the scout down yet, but may have noticed the Spire researching. And if it did, that was quite important. If not, the 2 Corruptors were with the main army, so will spot those back at home as the Phoenix were trying, as the Mutas were trying to get some harassment through. In now comes the air army yet again, going to try and take down another pylon just at the edge of the base. The Corruptors looking to zone out these Phoenix, but the Phoenix count is really damn high. There's a lot of damage ready and waiting to come through. But with good micro, with the Anion Pulse Crystals, these Phoenix can slowly make progress through this relatively small Corruptor count. There's only 5 of them on the field for the moment. Still, damage coming through. Another Corruptor is going to fall. And this is all looking very, very nice at the moment. The Corruptor count dwindling. The Mutalisk is going to go straight in the head-up engagement, but didn't turn out too well for them. Only 10 Mutas up against 10 Phoenix will favour those Phoenix that now start getting to work on the Queens, on the Overlords, picking away at production capability, picking away at supply. This is a lot of damage being done by First, and Bly is starting to struggle. He's dwindling in that overall army supply, losing Queens. The Corruptor's still trying to zone out, but the Phoenix count, very scary. Especially with the +1 air weapons also in place now. It's getting a bit rough. Speedling counterattack ready and looking to get some more damage done. Checking down towards this fourth, going to discover a hell of a load of zealots with +1, and with no upgrades on these lings, they're not going to be able to contend with that anytime soon. Bly is really on the back foot at the moment, and first he's not in an easy position because Bly is up on what is 5 bases, but the current compositions favour First. Bly needs to ramp up his production pretty rapidly. He's got 90 drones, he's got a lot of bases, but he needs to make those lava into some units, specifically quite a few corruptors, to deal with these Phoenix that are just rampaging through everything. The Bly has so many overlords just getting absolutely melted. Painful to watch there. I'd actually say that probably the best option for Bly is to consider going into Infestors. Just a couple. If he can shut down the mobility of these Phoenix, suddenly the Corruptors are going to be in a much better position. And right on cue, Infestation Pit gets started. Fungal Growth really is an amazing response up against a lot of Phoenix. The Corruptors coming forward, they're still looking to get a few more shots through. We'll get a Phoenix, that's always nice. Anytime you get a kill there's going to be good. But no, a couple of additional Archons being added into the mix. Their splash damage to air going to be critical in big head-up fights. And that's what First is probably going to be gunning for now. Still we go. Phoenix taking quite a beating, but a Corruptor will fall. The ground army looking quite scary as well. The Corruptor count up at 20 though is getting very sizable. And this kind of pure Corruptor force is going to be alright, but with only 14 Mutalisks, the ground army not really at too much of a threat. Waiting to see whether these Zealots are going to get some damage done. If we check down to these bottom right hand bases, note that there's no spines or static defense there. Quite exposed, and a couple of Zealots can do a lot of work. The Corruptor's still backing away, still dancing with death, dueling out with the Phoenix. And for the moment coming out better. However, counterattacks now coming in. +2 attack on these Zealots, they're going to be very efficient. Not really being controlled, just a move down to this army, whereas all of the attention currently sitting with these Phoenix, with the ground-based army, but with so many spines blocking up entrance to the third and natural, we see Bly being very fortified against that slow, quite lightly supplied ground army. Both of these two players heavily committed to their air compositions, so it's going to be exciting to see how they do end up trading. Pathogen Glands hasn't been researched, so Bly not going to be going for those Infestors, instead just focusing heavily on the static defense, going up into a hive, and I'm excited to see how he's going to use that and what kind of plans he's got for it. The Corruptor's still duking it out, the Mutalisk flock looking a lot more intimidating. 31 of them, still the Archons are big damage dealers. The splash to stacked air units is going to be devastating if it can hit the mark. These bottom two bases, the 4th and 5th of Bly, getting annihilated, getting taken down quickly, efficiently, and that causes Bly some problems because he's now down a base on First. Overall supply slightly favouring First as well, but a lot of potential with these Corruptors and Mutas. They've just got to make it work. The Phoenix count slowly going down, only 9 on the field, but this ground army terrifying. The Archon's getting focused by the Mutalisk quickly. Couple of shots dealing big damage through. The Stalkers on the ground as well, really racking up those kills. A lot of Mutas dying. First has lost all of his Phoenix pretty much now. Only a few remain, but the Stalkers, the Phoenix still engaging. The Mutalisk count dropping rapidly. 12, 11 on the field. Still the Stalkers keep falling though, and the air battle has been won. The ground forces though blinking into range. The Mutas taking substantial damage. Now only 7 remain, not enough to engage upon this. The Corruptors, frankly useless in this composition, thanks to all of the Phoenix having been taken down. The third base of Bly is falling. It's dead, it's gone. And with this, we see First get into a very nice spot. Sure, his army is really lacking, but he's still sitting on 76 probes. 4 bases. He's got a great economy, great upgrades, and a great army potential. Bly, on the other hand, his income is really struggling. Half that of his opponent, not much production. And while this bottom left-hand base is still alive, 1 lone drone is mining for it. Gold frantically attempting to be taken. Great Aspire coming down, but Bly, he just doesn't have the resources to be able to fund that production. The Stalkers still pushing in, just able to dismantle everything here with a +3 attack, dishing out a lot of damage with Blink able to really maximize their potential up against this army. The Spines not really standing much of a threat. They get dispatched, and drones now starting to fall. Bly frantically attempting to make a couple of Broodlords, but the switch has been quite late, and the Stalkers making their advance. Up into the natural base now, the Hatch looking very vulnerable. Nothing really to try and stop them, and with the Broodlords still stuck morphing, not yet finished, the natural base dies, and while Bly is doing everything he can, this should be game now. He's under 100 supply, half of his opponents, and First is just pushing forward. GG is cool, and First is gonna take this first game of this best of 3.